It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles and Alex White.
Good morning. Welcome in. It is Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. I'm Jeff Parles. Happy to be with you as always. We'll have another co-host in, Alex. A few more days without Alex here on the show. She'll be back later this week. Today we got Atlanta Falcons to talk about, but of course, as always, the starting five right out of the gate here on the show. As always, there it is yet again, the nice little flow across the screen. Let's start off number one. How about those quarterfinals in Euro? Wow. 3 games go to extra time. 2 go to penalties. The team that ended up winning the match was losing relatively deep into the match as it was. Wild occurrences in Germany. We know the Final Four. Tomorrow, England takes on the Dutch. But today, again, we were saying it a lot during the quarters, a matchup fit of the final. Despite scoring 0 goals from in play so far this tournament, France will take on Spain. Spain surviving in extra time, very late goal advanced them against the host Germany. Spain behind us, a small favorite on the goal line. It's a pick, but you're laying a price with Spain. You're getting a price with France on the picks, total of 2 for that one. Number 2, Copa America, first semifinal. Hey, Brazil's gone, so the other pre-tournament favorite, Argentina, will take on, yes, known South American soccer power, Canada. Yes, Canada is alive and well here in this tournament. They advanced in penalties against Venezuela. They now take on Argentina. By the way, 3 of those matches in the Copa America quarters all went to penalties. And Argentina advancing in penalties against Ecuador. But here we go, minus 290 on the 3-way line for Argentina. We saw this matchup in the first game of this tournament. Argentina won 2-0. Number 3, Dodgers go to Philly. How about this? The best 2 records in the NL, Phillies and Dodgers. Wheeler and Bobby Miller, your pitching matchup here today. 2 best records in the NL. Phillies, minus 137 with a total of 9. Number 4, I-70 series. How about the Cardinals, who have taken well command of one of those 3 wildcard slots right now, currently in the 2-hole, the 5 seed in the National League. They take on the Royals, who are trying to stay alive in that American League wildcard race, just a game and a half behind Boston entering the week. Michael Wacha, the former Cardinal, goes for Kansas City. Andrea Palante goes for the Cards, minus 117 on St. Louis here today. And at number 5, we can bring him in. You already saw him here last Friday. He's back yet again. We liked him so much. Our guy from Unabated, our good friend Tom Viola, with me today yet again.
Great to be back with you here, Jeff. Excited for another day. It's the sports summer. It's the summer doldrums of sports, but thankfully this is a much more exciting summer than most that we've had.
Well, not only that, we have the Olympics, of course, coming up in a few weeks, where we're starting to see a lot of markets starting to populate on the Olympics, which is always fun when that pops up. You'll get your handball futures in, Tom Viola. You got to get ready on that.
Well, the great thing about betting on the Olympics is you don't have as much of an edge. The casino doesn't have as much of an edge. The house doesn't have as much of an edge.
Right.
Because these are such obscure sports. Jason Weingarten, Spreadopedia, someone I know you know well.
I've had him on the show.
One of my favorite things that he likes to talk about is, I could be the 10,000th person putting in a ticket at this particular sports book on this Cubs-Rangers game. Or I could be the second person putting in an admittedly much smaller ticket on this international Caribbean women's basketball game. That Cubs line has been hammered into place. A 20-minute Google search, and you've probably done more work than the bookmaker that's setting the line on that on Trinidad versus Bermuda.
They have basketball teams?
Apparently.
Well, we know
but
of course Bermuda, the British island, as always, one of the most beautiful places on earth,
famed for their shorts.
Yes,
but the thing is, the Olympics is just an entire market of that with much higher limits too.
Yeah,
you're going to have a chance to actually do a little bit of research and gain maybe not a substantial edge, but a good enough edge that if you're actually paying a little bit of attention to these sports and doing a little bit of research, it's going to get you a lot farther than doing the same amount of research in like the NFL.
See, this is why I enjoy you coming in here and doing these shows with me, Tom, where that was not even something we even planned about.
No.
And it's true. I mean, this is something 3 weeks from now where, look, the baseball lines, like you said, hammered into place. Now these WNBA games, more so than even in the past, hammered into place, just because of the more eyeballs. And look, sharps have always loved betting the WNBA, but they're even more hammered into place now because the books are more aware than they've been in the past. It's always, the Olympics again. Especially outside of Nevada. Sorry, hey, sorry for us here. It's more of a gaming issue more so than anything. Outside of Nevada, there are going to be a lot of things you can play in the Olympics that I'm sure, like you said, you'll have an edge on because we know the basketball lines are going to be tight.
Mm-hmm.
We know the soccer lines are going to be tight. We honestly know select track and field events will be tight as well because they have enough information. But once you get down the board, there will be some opportunities, water polo and team handball and such, that you may have some opportunities that you may not have presented themselves in normal circumstances.
Exactly. This is a good time, especially with the fact that you don't have that much else going on in the sports world. I mean, WNBA is going to be taking a break.
Yep, they're going to the Olympic break. Yep.
It's a good time if you really. It's a good time to take a break from sports betting, which is a very interesting take to have on a sports betting talk show. I'm aware, but if you are going to take a break during the year, this is probably the time that you want to do so and get ready for football season and get ready for the fall when things are going crazy. But if you want to put in the work and you want to put in the research, you can get some edges in the Olympic markets that you're not going to find for another 2 years.
Well, even if you're taking a betting break, you can still keep it with us because our NFL previews go through the next month.
Very true.
Also, our college football previews will be coming in the month of August, as well as we're getting ever so closer to NCAA football also being released, where I'm sure a lot of people will start trying to handicap college football off of that. Don't do that. We saw the ratings. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But it'll be a lot of football coming up over the next few weeks for us here on the show.
Yeah,
as well.
I would definitely give it a little bit of time before you start handicapping based on anything that the NCAA football comes out.
Wouldn't do that. Wouldn't handicap on that.
Interestingly enough, some sharps, when they're building their player models for NFL, actually do use the Madden ratings. If they're doing a player-based model instead of a team-based model,
makes sense.
Think about it. The Madden ratings team puts a lot of work into getting those ratings as accurate as they can, to the point where some people say, well, this is a whole lot more accurate than any research I can put into it.
Well, the NFL, for Madden at least, they perfected, quote unquote, perfected that science.
Yeah.
These college football ratings, as we've seen, Colorado.
I was about to say the same thing.
Who is not a top 20 team.
No.
Is a top 20 offense and defense. We know their defense is terrible. We know they can't block. So, so tread carefully on it, even though they did nail Iowa correctly.
Yeah. Look, my
offense in the 70s, defense in the 90s. That's correct.
Look, my belief, you know what they say, if you're going to take over a top 25 team, you can't take over a top 25 team. You're supposed to go and play as the Temple Owls and build them up.
It's supposed to be the Akron Zips.
Yeah. The only thing that's acceptable is if you're going to be a top 25 team and you're going to be Iowa, and you have to play them either exactly as Iowa plays, where you're going for 3 points a game, or turn them into the air raid offense. Those are the only two ways you can do it.
No, I would, if I were to do that, I would do triple option, 100%. Not even a debate. We're turning into a service academy. We're going full.
Just run the wishbone.
Running the wishbone, 100%. All right. Well, let's go to soccer here real quick here, Tom, before we get into today's baseball card as well. 2 matchups here today. Let's start with the Euro because it's up first. And it's also the better matchup. Let's be real with ourselves. France and Spain. I mean, just again, these matchups. And for Spain, if they end up winning, well, honestly, both of these teams, either whoever comes through, if they were to win this tournament, France's run to the final would be Belgium, Portugal, Spain, England, or Netherlands. I'm not willing to say either side on that. And for Spain, other than getting Georgia in the round of 16, Germany, who, for all intents and purposes, but even after watching those quarterfinals, I still think Germany was the second best team in this tournament behind Spain.
I agree.
And they beat them on their home soil. France, and then either England or the Dutch. Again, unbelievable run any way you slice it. There are numbers behind us. Again, a goal line and a total here at the South Point. This is for 90 minutes and the stoppage time, not including extra time, as we know, Tom. Pick minus 130 on Spain, plus 110 on the French. Total is 2, juice to the under. Tom, I will say this, because a lot of these matches have just been, hey, we're going to grind this thing out and get it to penalties almost. And kind of that's what France did against Portugal, and surviving that. I don't know if England did that intentionally or not against the Swiss, but that's how it ended up playing
That's
out.
how England plays intentionally every game.
And then the only game that didn't make it to extra time was the Dutch and Turkey, where the Dutch were pretty fortunate in order to win that game in regulation, all things considered, Tom. So, look, I would look to the under here. I'd look to under 2. That'd be the only way I'd look to do this.
I think I'm going the opposite way.
You're looking over. You're finally looking for goals here.
We talked about this with the beginning of the tournament when we were doing the podcast previewing the Euros, and we got a lot of things wrong, but we did get some things right. And one of the things that I said was Spain is an incredibly good team, but where are the goals going to come from? Because Morata is very streaky and he's very hot and cold, and they don't really have a ton of other attacking options to put up top. Well, Morata's been hot all tournament, and he's been scoring goals, and the team's been able to put up the goals that they need to win some of these games. I think this is the first time that we see France score from open play, because I think this is a game where both teams are getting on the board here, and they're going to have to attack a little more than maybe even they want to. If I'm either one of these teams, I'm saying, I'm good enough going out there that I don't need to leave this to penalties. I think both teams are going to be playing a little more attacking and trying to play the way that they want to, which for France is admittedly a little more defensively, but I think that Spain is going to be able to break down that incredibly good French defense, get a goal, and force France to go on the attack. And France's offense, while they haven't produced so far this tournament, they're always capable of doing so. And I'd stay away from the under 2 market here. This might be the first one where I'm actually leaning to over 2, but I still like Spain to go all the way. But I might be looking at this one in a bet to go to extra time.
More so than anything in this tournament, where, again, France has still not scored a goal from in play.
They have.
Their 2 goals from in play are own goal by Austria, own goal by Belgium, which is, again, you're talking about a team with all this talent. It is incredible that they have been unable to break through. And the fact that they're here is kind of just a testament that when they don't have their stuff on offense, their defense has been
their defense is incredible. It's the midfield that's been slowing down a little bit for them, because you've still got a lot of great players in that midfield, but they're getting a little bit older.
Right.
And some things that have been alluded to from the striking core have been, hey, we're not really getting the service from the midfield that we need to score, and that's why we aren't scoring goals right now. The other thing to remember about this French team is they all hate each other.
Oh, yes.
That's do not like each other.
That's been the case since South Africa.
Yeah. Didier Deschamps came in, and the reason that they've been so successful is because he was the one to basically sit down and say, hey, I don't care that you all hate each other. We're going out and we're winning some World Cups, and that is what they've done.
They've won one. They should have, honestly, very easily could have won 2.
Yeah.
Of course, losing the second one in PKs to Argentina 2 years ago.
And that's, to me, equally as incredible as winning the first one, because you've seen it with Germany. That team fell off a cliff. They won the World Cup in 2014 and haven't been a threat since. No, they fell off a cliff, and now it's a new German team. But it's very hard to get back up after you win it and say, "All right, we're gonna go out and win another one." Like you got there, and for France to go back and just be equally as good and be penalty kicks away from winning again, really incredible.
I want to move over to the Copa game. I just want to do this one quickly because Canada, this is a heck of an accomplishment for Jesse Marsh and company to get through.
And makes the U.S. Soccer Federation look even worse.
Well, we knew they already looked bad to begin with.
I actually was doing a radio show last night and had Eric Winalda on. Yeah. And he said that they had Jesse Marsh in a room for 6 hours asking him questions only to go, you know what? We think we're going to go with Greg again.
That's so silly.
Yep.
Argentina, you're laying a goal and a half. Total 2.5. Argentina, honestly, kind of just feels like, all right, we survived the penalty kick ugly game in the quarterfinals against Ecuador. Now you get Canada, who they have already defeated in this tournament, Tom. I don't find any value in this game, but I will say if Canada can at least hold the line through the first half here, Tom, like they did in that first match, there's no pressure on Canada. They're not even normally in this tournament, as we know. They're only in this because this is, of course, a South American-based tournament. Happens to be in the U.S. this year.
Yeah.
So if this game's 0-0 at half, if you're Canada, just park the bus and get this thing to penalties because we don't do extra time in Copa America.
Yeah. Oh, if you're Canada, you're going for that. That being said, you might want to live bet Argentina because if this is 0-0 at half, that's the best price you're going to be getting on Argentina. And I don't see bunkering for 90 minutes working out for Canada against this team. You've got one of the best players on the pitch in Alphonso Davies, but the problem is you're still going up against Messi. And I think that Argentina will find a way to create something here. Look to bet this one in game. Canada could absolutely hold out for 45, 50, 60 minutes. And if you're going to get that, at that point, you might be able to get a pretty decent price on Argentina to win that thing in regulation. Because I don't see Canada being able to do it for 90 minutes.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. The other semifinal, which we'll hold for tomorrow, is going to be fascinating with Colombia and Ecuador, of course, on the Euro side. England and the Dutch in the other semifinal.
Just bet that one under.
Yeah,
bet that game under.
100%. Let's go to baseball.
Actually, hang on.
Real quick. Go ahead, Tommy.
Just bet the 0-0.
Oh,
bet
on the Dutch
price.
and England game.
Yeah, just do it.
Okay.
It's going to work out in your favor, I promise.
Okay, all right. We're taking exact scores. Love that.
And if it's France versus England in the final, bet that one. Yeah, do that too.
Do it again.
If it's France versus England, just take out a second mortgage. No one's scoring in that game for 150 minutes. They could play a best of 3 and no one's scoring in that one. The ball might not leave the center field circle.
Always bet responsibly, kids. All right, let's go to let's go to baseball here, Tom. I know. Let's start in a spot where we're not normally started here. That's the Blue Jays and the Giants. Blake Snell back against Yusei Kikuchi here, 7.5. Giants now favored, by the way, in this matchup, -116 behind us. Price has gone down, from -122 to -124. Now back down the ladder the other direction with the Giants and the Blue Jays here, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, this Blue Jays team, the highlight of their season was those glorious 10 minutes when everybody thought Shohei Ohtani's plane was on its way to Toronto.
Yeah, a lot of apathy this year for the Jays.
Understandably so. I hate to say that I'm someone who's holding a Blue Jays futures ticket due to that plane ride. I blame Plus EV Analytics for that one, and he copped to it, and he did give me a good winner later on. It balanced the checkbook out there, but yeah, that one that was a very immediately throw it into the fire ticket. The Giants, oh man, it's so annoying with the Giants because you've got a guy like Blake Snell who can pitch at a great level. The bullpen gives up so much, though. The amount of times that I've had Giants fan friends texting me complaining this year about just, we have a lead, we're about to blow it. And sure enough, they continue to just perpetually blow it. But when you're going up against a team like the Blue Jays, who just aren't good, I'm inclined to take the Giants in this one, especially now that they become favorites.
I don't have a play on this game. I made it very clear that I can't stand this Toronto team. Can't stand them. There's too much talent on this team to look this mediocre for 90 games. They're 41-49. 41-49. They're 16 games behind Baltimore. Forget that. They're 8.5 games behind Boston for the final wild card right now.
Yikes.
And this is a Red Sox team that credit to Alex Cora, by the way. Credit to them. This is not a Red Sox team that we thought was going to be any good. They're sitting at 9 games over 500, and Kansas City has to chase them now in that third wild card race. But this Toronto team has been a money pit this year. They've been a total money pit because they've been favored a lot, especially earlier in the season, and they lose. By the way, they have an under 500 record when they score double-digit runs, by the way, Tom.
Jeez.
You like that?
That's
under 500.
That's insane.
Yeah. Only team in baseball to do it this year. I don't know about further back. That was actually Ryan's guy. That was a Jay Kuda tweet there. Which we always love our guy, Jay Kuda, of course, see his tweets a lot on Punchlines. All right, going up next, and keep it going on the list, we'll go Dodgers-Phillies next. Bobby Miller, Zach Wheeler. So there's a few things going on here that are interesting in this one, Tom. The betting line hasn't really moved. It's moved 2 cents. It's went from $1.35 to $1.37 behind us on Philly. So the tiniest of moves on that dime line. Total's 9. Philly's still not 100% healthy, as we know.
Yeah, I mean, you still got you still got what Harper.
Harper Schwarber definitely still not going. Even though we know Alec Boehm now apparently a prolific home run hitter enough to be in the home run derby, Tom, as we know with his 11 home runs. Does have a high OPS, but still. But you're in a scenario here where
he's going to win it, right?
Probably. Well, hey, we'll have a home run derby breakdown on Thursday's show, by the way. So
Nice.
be on the lookout for that. You also get the Dodgers here as big of a price as you possibly can get the Dodgers. This is the biggest underdog they've been all year so far, plus 127. So this is a weird one because you see Wheeler at home and it's like, whoa, I can lay less than $1.40 with Wheeler at home, which is rare this year, very enticing. But then you see, I can get the plus price on the Dodgers. Now, Bobby Miller, we know his length has been a little bit of a struggle so far this year. Just the nature of them trying to get a young pitcher who has been hurt back healthy and strong yet again, Tom. I would lean to the Dodgers, though. It has just such a juicy price, even against the best record team with the best record in the National League. And a pitching advantage for Philadelphia, I would lean to taking a price with the Dodgers. I want to see if this goes further up. Possibly could touch $1.30 on the take back on LA. Maybe even $1.35 late. But if this is the best price, I have no problem taking it here with LA.
Yeah, I think I would be inclined to go with the Dodgers, too. I mean, the Phillies have been so incredibly hot, but then you came the injuries, and that really does start to muck things up for you. The good news for Philadelphia, I think, is if you're going to be injured, now is the time to do it.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, you've got the All-Star break coming up. We're in the middle of the season where people are just going, okay, just kind of tread water and stay in the hunt, stay in the race. Well, not that the Phillies have to worry about that as much because they're doing quite well in that department. But this is the time to be injured here. I'd agree. I'd take the Dodgers if I was going any which way on this one. I do have a very slight value on Bobby Miller under 4.5 at plus 110 for pitcher strikeouts.
Okay.
Very slight value, though.
Slight value under 4.5 strikeouts for Miller.
Yeah.
Only if you get that plus price, though.
Yeah. Plus 150, plus 110.
Got to get that plus price in order to justify that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go to Queens next. We saw this pitching matchup on the 4th of July between Jose Quintana and Jake Irvin. They only combined for 15 shutout innings in that game. Granted, it was the 11 a.m. game. Nats won 1-0 on a home run by Jesse Winker against the Mets bullpen. The Mets bullpen is the worst ERA over the last 21 days. It's a solid 8. Pretty good, right? Solid 8.
Not ideal.
For the Mets bullpen. Quintana's a $1.30 favorite at home. Total 8.5, Tom. So I'll just ask you this. Since we saw this pitching matchup 5 days ago, and this was a 1-0, only one run in the game. By the way, Quintana did something that's only been done once so far this year, and that's throw 7 shutout innings or more with 1 strikeout. Who had the over strikeouts that day? This guy.
That's truly incredible.
Yeah, whatever, it happens. But look, you're in a scenario here where I'll just ask you this. When we just saw a super duper ridiculous under with these pitchers just 5 days ago in the same exact pitching matchup, are we zigzagging here and looking at an over potentially where this is the same matchup? These guys saw him 5 days ago, and it was just so ridiculously bad for the hitters that there's got to be some regression to the mean here from the pitchers and the hitters themselves as well, Tom?
You would think there would be. I'm a little more inclined to look at the weather.
Okay. So
like this is
today in Flushing, New York, Tom Viola.
Because we're at a difficult point in the season here where you're kind of losing that ability to, like, the weather is evening out across the country and it's just being hot.
Yes.
But you can still look, it used to be a little more prevalent of an edge where you could check out barometric pressure and things like that and identify spots where, oh, this is a low pressure system moving into this area. Go ahead and bet the under in this one because the ball's not going to be flying as far. But
well, it's only going to be 90 degrees.
Only 90 degrees.
Only 90, which is never good. Winds about 8 miles an hour blowing out. So close to being a little bit of a difficult thing there. But again, it's like you said, and we've talked about this. This total in April would have been 8.
Yeah.
It's total maybe even 7.5 after what we saw a few days ago.
Yeah.
But because that weather gets hotter, we know
the ball's flying more. It's finally being a little more hitter-friendly.
Miserable across the country the last about 17 days.
Yeah.
It's been miserable here the last week, as we know. We set a record here.
Yeah. 120.
120. Yeah.
I love it, Jeff.
I know you do.
I love it hot.
I know you're a sicko. It's okay.
Yep.
It's okay. All right, let's go to the Braves and the Diamondbacks. So, Chris Sale was a late scratch last night. He is expected to go tonight for the Braves. Zach Gallen goes for the Diamondbacks. What a pitching matchup this ends up turning into because of that. Braves are a small road favorite here, -112, +102 on the take back. Braves were down to their final strike last night. Sean Murphy forced extras. The Braves won an 11. Really gut punch loss for Arizona. With these pitchers, I would lean, even though it is a 7.5. Roof will be closed, more likely than not, at Chase Field. I would lean to the under at 7.5 with these pitchers, Tom. That would be the only way I'd look here. But don't love the fact that I'm having to lay $1.20 here behind us.
The thing that I love even less is the most value I've got is Chris Sale under 6.5 strikeouts at +124.
That does not dictate an under then, Tom.
No. It is not. It is not something that's very fun to play. But the thing is, when you have these marquee pitching names, you do find some value in those under markets because you're paying a tax on the over, and it inflates the value the other way. And the reality is, in some cases, it's actually a good bet. Paul Skeens unders, not so much, but I'm not going so far as to say that it's enough value where I want to play it. But under 6.5 +124 is looking a little bit juicy for me there on Chris Sale strikeouts.
There you go. That's the play for Tom there. Let's go to the Yankees and the Rays. Rodon, who has been, again, the Yankees have the worst record in baseball, as we talked about. Now a hearty 6-17 over the last 23, losing 2 out of 3 to Boston. Rodon's this market's been fun. Open -117, up to -127. Now coming back down the ladder all the way to -112 on the Yankees behind us. Total 8. It's Pepio and Rodon. Rodon has been brutal of late. This would only be a lean to the over. But the problem is with overs in the Yankee game is their offense, other than Judge and Soto, as we've talked about, has been an abomination since Stanton's gotten hurt.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't trust this team to do anything except for those 2 guys. And that's been a real problem for this Yankees team so far. Quite frankly, the best price that I'm seeing on the Rays is +105. The best price I'm seeing on the Yankees is -109. I have this game at about +107 on the unabated line here on our screen. So I'd be leaning more towards the Rays than anything in this one.
Tampa, again, has been one of the bigger disappointments in baseball as well.
Highly.
Again, these AL East teams, other than it's funny, we can't talk about the Yankees as being a quote-unquote disappointment because they're 18 games over 500 still.
Yeah.
They just have been awful the last month. The Orioles have been, we thought they could win 90. We thought they could win 100. And
the Orioles were expected to be good.
We thought they could win 100. They're on pace to win 100.
Yeah.
100 plus. The Yankees, I thought they would be mid-90s. They're still on pace for that despite their issues.
Mm-hmm.
Boston, I thought, was going to be mediocre at best. They're well on pace to shatter their win total over. And then the other 2, the Rays, I thought, all right, you know what? Even though I don't love their roster, they're still going to win their 88 games like they always do. Underwater right now. And the Jays should be selling.
Yes.
At the trade deadline.
I think the Rays, I mean, you look at all of the stuff that has happened to this team, the Wander Franco situation, like that's rough to lose a piece that was supposed to be a cornerstone of your franchise. I think the Rays are looking around and saying, hey, we might have missed our window here.
They did.
Yeah.
I mean, they clearly did. I mean, they won over 2 years ago. They've won over 100 games.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 years ago, they won 100 games. In 2021. Go out in the first round. And this new format with the wild card, they've had the one, forget this new format, but with the 5-4 wild cards, they've blown series as the number 1 overall seed multiple times.
Yep.
I mean, 2021 was the one that hurt. I mean, they were way better than that Boston team.
Yeah.
In the division series. Go out to them, and then they lose. They lost to Cleveland in 2022 in the wild card round. And again, of course, last year they weren't even in the thing. So
yeah.
So missed your window. If you're Tampa, 100% agree with you on that, Tom. All right, let's go to the Royals and the Cardinals here. St. Louis, one of the red hot teams in baseball. They are now in control of a wild card, despite a negative run differential north of -30 still, Tom. And here they are. They throw Palante today. Former Cardinal Michael Wacha goes for the Royals. Royals did not look good, losing 2 out of 3 to the Rockies last weekend. Tom, this is the way that I'm looking at Cardinal games right now. When they're at home, I want to go under as much as humanly possible. Even if the pitchers don't dictate it, when the Cardinals are at their best, it's because their starters are going 6 innings, 2 runs. And their bullpen has been quite good at the end of games. And his offense has been pretty unimpressive, even though they're still winning games, other than, to me, Wynn, who probably should have been an all-star, but there are a bunch of guys who were left off the NL team that should have been there. I would look to St. Louis. I would look to St. Louis and the under in this game, but more so the under at 8, Tom.
My worry with the under here is if you look at it with the 2 starters that we've got, their strikeout lines are at 4.5 and 3.5, respectively. Wacha and Palante, respectively.
Not big numbers.
Not big numbers, which tells me, are they really going to be going deep in this game? Or are they going to get pulled maybe a little early and maybe we see a little more bullpen action coming out here? And that is usually a recipe for disaster when it comes to the under. The other thing, of course, neither is projected for that many strikeouts, which could lead to a little more scoring here, which makes me a little hesitant to the under. If I'm going to do anything, I might look at the first 5
under.
Yeah, I might take the first 5 under. If you've got a feel for the under, that might be where I go here and leave the bullpens out of this one.
Let's go to one last baseball game, and then we'll look at the Atlanta Falcons. The Mariners and the Padres. How about this? You're getting San Diego. You could have got them as high as plus 132. Now it's plus 121. Now it is a big pitching advantage for Seattle.
Yeah.
Get that. Logan Gilbert against Mazur for San Diego. The Mariners' offense stinks.
Yes.
They are bad on offense. The Padres have really, and we talked about this last week, if it wasn't for Paul Skeens, Jackson Merrill would be squarely in the NL Rookie of the Year race right now. He's replaced Tatis's production since Tatis got hurt. Machado's starting to hit for power again. This is just one of those, I'm going to stay out of this, but if the Padres come back up the ladder again, Tom, I would consider looking at San Diego if we get back into that plus 130 category here on the Padres. It is a distinct pitching advantage for Seattle. But, boy, that Mariner offense is always really petrifying to bet on with the way they're so reliant on the home run. Julio Rodriguez has been genuinely bad this year. And yet here they are still in first place in the American League West.
Yeah. And especially with how bad this Seattle offense has been, like, the best thing that I've got for you on this one is Adam Mazur under 4.5 strikeouts.
There you go.
But
your model's loving the strikeouts today.
My model does love the strikeouts a lot. I mean, it's the unabated prop simulator here that I'm using. It's not a model that I've built up myself, but the prop simulator, it very much does like the under strikeouts for him. Quite frankly, it likes the under strikeouts for a lot of people. Zach Gallen is the first guy that I come down here and it's saying, oh, hey, we like the over on this one. But the thing that worries me about Mazur is, like you said, he's going up against Seattle. They're very home run dependent. They're swinging for the fences, and that does open you up to a lot more strikeouts here. But my numbers are telling me that the move is Mazur under 4.5.
Mazur under 4.5. Again, looking for about plus 130 if I can get on the Padres on that one. All right, let's get the football on fire across the screen here. Let's get a few minutes before we get out of here today. No fire football? Okay. We don't have time for the fire football today, so we'll just go right into the Atlanta Falcons. You know what? Kirk Cousins isn't a flashy guy, so I don't think he'd like a football on fire anyway. Tom.
He won it with gold chains.
Yeah, very good. Very good on that. The Atlanta Falcons, who, for a team that has a very different look to it at head coach and quarterback, actually is a relatively unchanged roster other than the head coach and the quarterback.
Yeah.
Which is very weird to be saying that. Of course, obviously, the big story of the offseason for Atlanta was, all right, you give Kirk Cousins $100 million, and then you flip around and you inexplicably take Michael Penix in the top 10. Where, all right, you're conflicting.
And cause massive panic throughout the draft.
It's conflicting views of what you are.
Yeah.
I know Terry Fontenot after the fact is like, oh, we might never get the quarterback we like again. All right, well, you give Kirk Cousins 3 years, $100 million. You're hoping Kirk Cousins playing all 3 years at a high level.
My other question with that is, what on earth was your plan then? Because it's not like Michael Penix wasn't going to be there at 8.
He was always going to be there.
He was always going to be there at 8. you could have been planning for this without having to say, hey, let's get a $200 million insurance policy and Kirk Cousins here.
It's very strange. It's one of the weirdest draft picks in NFL history.
Yeah.
To say the very least. They do lose Calais Campbell, which is important, even though Campbell at the age of 37 still very impactful on that defensive end.
That's a time when you start saying, okay, it's okay that we're letting this guy out the door.
It's fine. And then, of course, departures. Again, Desmond Ridder out. Part of Atlanta last year. Atlanta was a very popular bet on this desk last year between Alex and I, where her numbers always had Atlanta higher than the market, better than the market would say. I thought the Falcons, talent-wise, outside of the quarterback position, were clearly the best team in the NFC South and actually had the ability with real quarterback play to maybe even win a playoff game or two. Now, it is Kirk Cousins off an Achilles tear, which is a big question mark. It is a new offense for Kirk Cousins as well. It's also Raheem Morris, who this is his second go-around as a head coach. It did not go well in Tampa Bay at all.
No.
Now, granted, that's almost a decade ago now, so if there's some hope that Raheem learned from his mistakes in Tampa Bay and has learned even more and is now maybe wasn't ready to be a head coach at that point and now is ready to be a head coach. You saw it on the bottom of our screen at the beginning. The Falcons are over $2 to make the playoffs on the yes right now behind us.
That's pretty absurd.
To win the division, you're laying minus 110. So they are favored.
Yeah.
You're laying a price. Their win total's 9.5, which is a high win total.
Yeah.
Especially in that division that most of us think, hey, 9 might be good enough most years to win the NFC South, especially in the current form. So I'll just ask you this, Tom.
What did you say their odds to make the playoffs were?
It was -2. Just throw it back up. Yeah, -220.
Okay. I thought you said plus 220, and I was very confused.
No,
confused.
Laying the yes.
Gotcha.
Laying the yes.
Yeah.
Which is, Tom, it's still a significant price on the yes at -220, especially with a quarterback who's nearing 40 coming off of an Achilles tear.
I'd be inclined to go to the no.
Yeah, I would only bet the no at that price.
Yeah. I don't think I look at the Unabated season simulator that we've got. Yeah, like you said, 9.5, but you can find them at 9.5 plus 120.
Yeah.
DraftKings really interesting. 11.5 on the win total here. I'm assuming that's got to be updated.
That's got to be an alt, right?
There's got to be something going on with that because that's an absolutely bonkers number to have put up there. But
that's got to be an alt.
Yeah, because the under's at like -310. That's an alt.
That's an alt.
But 9.5. The simulator says it should be around even money both ways at 9.5. And instead, we've got plus 120 on the under. And the other thing is, Derek Carr has been around the block. He's not a bad quarterback down in New Orleans. They have the potential. The Saints absolutely still have the potential. You've still got some fantastic pieces down there. If there's another team that I trust to put it together, it's probably going to be the Saints here. Although Tampa also.
This is a weird division.
It's the weirdest division because
division.
This was a division last year we were looking at and saying, well, no one can fight their way out of a paper bag. Let's face it, it's not going to be. If it's the Panthers, we got bigger problems because pigs are flying.
Carolina, we'll get Carolina later this week.
Yeah.
Carolina's still power rated for me as the worst team in the NFL yet again.
I don't think that is at all bad.
And it's really not even. There are some teams you could argue. I know that the market disagrees with me on this.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can argue Denver is also close to Carolina in the way of being bad. I know New England, I know the market is very low on the Patriots as well. I think Carolina's on their own at 32. I don't think there's.
I think the thing that the thing that gives you any help there is the fact that Carolina gets to play in this division.
Well, of course.
And
we're not betting them at 10-1.
No.
We're not advocating that. It's just that when you look at the main reason I'm bringing Carolina up now more so than anything is because you have to look at these division opponents for Carolina, Atlanta especially, where you have 2 games you're going to win.
Yeah.
And 2 games you're going to be pretty significantly favored in. They also get Carolina week 18. So if they need the game week 18, that's the best draw humanly possible, like we saw with Tampa last year, where Tampa played an absolute stink bomb in week 18 and still won the game.
Yeah.
Because Carolina was beyond horrible in that game. So more so than anything, looking at Atlanta's schedule, look, that start is not easy.
No.
Start is not easy. You're getting Pittsburgh at home, where Atlanta's favored in that game, but maybe the demons of past for the Falcons are gone. But that screams Russell Wilson plays well in his Steeler debut, and Atlanta loses 27-23.
I really
think
think
something like that for sure is in play.
You can't really trust this Falcons team yet. Like, we haven't seen them do anything. Everyone's buying into the hype because of the fact that they're the only team in that division that looks mostly competent. But when you take them out of that division and say, okay, well, let's go play some other teams here, that's an 0-3 start staring you down the barrel. If you lose to the Saints, you could potentially, let's face it, at the best, you're 1-2 going into that matchup with the Saints.
I don't know if I'm willing to go that far for one reason, Tom, because they are favored week 1.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea. Again, I did pick Philly to win the NFC East.
Mm-hmm.
I did. But Philly's going to be coming off of that weird trip to Brazil, playing on a Monday, their home opener on a Monday night. By the way, Kirk Cousins has now played in Philadelphia in primetime 3 straight years in week 2 for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Great. And in week 3, if Kansas City, as we've learned with this Chiefs team, they're either going to get out to 9-0 or they're going to look poor early in the year.
They might look poor early in the year, but
the game is at home. Atlanta's more than talented enough to play with Kansas City in that game, and it's close. You never know. But here's the problem, though.
It also is a Kirk Cousins primetime game. I'm just saying.
You
can't actually bet on that, but.
True. By the way, Tom, and it's funny we bring this up, and by the way, this is all leading to me saying that I like Atlanta under their win total the best of anything with this team.
Yeah.
Even though 4 of their first 5 games are at home, and they're going to be favored in 3 of those 4, I don't trust them to go better than 2-2 in those home games because they're going to lose one of those games. Kansas City, they're a dog in.
Yeah.
But they're going to lose one of those 3 games that they are favored in.
And I think the Steelers is an entirely reasonable game to lose. Yeah. Yes, both teams
Mike Tomlin week 1 also is an underdog. We know Mike Tomlin is an underdog is great.
Yeah, but both teams here are dealing with new quarterbacks, but one team is dealing with a brand new offensive system, and one team brought a quarterback into an existing system that still has a very good defense.
Well, remember, Tom, Arthur Smith is now the offensive coordinator.
Oh, God.
Up in Pittsburgh.
The Arthur Smith revenge game.
So you have the Arthur Smith. Very good. The Arthur Smith revenge game. Yeah, there we go. Stumbled onto something good there.
Look, as excited as I am to see George Pickens as the lead blocker for 3 Jalen Warren touchdowns, let's face it, they're going to find a new running back to use because Arthur Smith can't use his weapons. But still, I'm inclined to go with the Steelers in that week 1 matchup.
I was going to say Fast Willie Parker is going to come back. He'll be the running back. I will say this, though, Tom, before we finish up here. If the Falcons survive the early portion of the schedule, after that week 9 home game against Dallas, that right side of your screen on the schedule, at New Orleans, at the Broncos, the Chargers at home, off the bye, at the Vikings, at the Raiders, the Giants, at the Commanders, the Panthers, I think I had max mentioned 1 potential playoff team.
Yeah.
So if they survive and get through the first 7 games at over 500,
yeah.
And if somehow they get through the first 9 at over 500, I might as well rip up my under 9.5.
Yeah.
Because if they get through the first half alive and well, they're going to win double-digit games. Because the back end of that schedule is very, very manageable, even with a bunch of road games. More road than home on the back end.
The hardest game you're playing is the Chargers at home off a bye.
I think actually you're going to laugh at me. I think the hardest game
if you say the Raiders, I'm walking out of here.
Is week 10 in New Orleans.
Yeah,
that's the toughest game because it's a divisional game, rivalry as we know that. I also don't think the Raider game will be that easy because
I think the Raiders are going to be terrible.
We'll get to the Raiders later when we get to the AFC West.
Yeah,
I have a ton of questions about that offense.
Yeah,
I think that defense is going to be really good. But they might have New York Jets issues where that defense is just so on the field so much that by week 15 they might be out of gas.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that all plays out. Falcons under is the play for me, even though
I'm going the same.
Even though under 9.5 is the bet, I do expect them to still win the division.
Mm-hmm.
I think 9-8 is good enough to win the division.
Definitely.
But I don't like them to go over that win total.
I think if I'm taking a division winner, I might look to the Saints or the Buccaneers here.
Oh, okay.
Like, I just don't know that I trust this Atlanta team, and it feels so chalky. It feels
is
so
chalk.
chalky to just be
Chalk
looking and
doesn't
saying.
usually work in this division unless if Tom Brady's playing quarterback for Tampa. Or
Exactly.
Brady's playing
Then
for the
then it makes things a lot easier for you. But hey, who knows? Maybe we're in the middle of the Baker Sans.
Never know. Very, very good there. Very good there, Tom. We'll have more of division previews throughout the week. Dwayne Colucci is going to co-host with me tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Adam Rosenberg will be with me on Thursday. And then, of course, we'll see Vinny later in the week. And Alex White will be back later in the week as well. But before we get out of here, we got to check in with our good friend Ryan McCormick, producer of Punchlines, as always. Good morning.
Morning, guys. Great show.
Thank you, sir. What do we have today at noon with you and Frank Nicotero?
Well, Frank and I on Tuesdays always have a Top 5 Tuesday. We've got no Matt Neverett today, but stepping in is Dennis Evans, Kansas City reporter. Give us some information on Kansas and K-State in the Big 12 as you and Drew Dog are going to Big 12 Media Day later today.
We'll be there.
And then Frank and I will be making the trip out tomorrow. But yeah, some great posts with punchlines talking about All-Star Game, some NFL stuff. So tune in at noon.
Looking forward to it, as always. Which minor league baseball team is your shirt again?
It is the Danville Dairy Daddies.
I knew it was something ridiculous. I just couldn't think of that. By the way,
it is. It's Cow Appreciation Day.
Is it?
It is.
We appreciate our cows every day, but especially today
We do.
here on July 9th. Thank you. I see. We learned a lot of things. I know Caden's going to have a ball with that on the AI today. Oh, boy. There might be some scary stuff on that.
Just a little.
One last thing, by the way, I will bring up, Ryan. The thing I told you about for Fungo Trivia on Thursday.
Yeah.
They all arrived. So Fungo Trivia on Thursday is going to be very interesting, to say the very least.
Sweet.
So be on the lookout for that later in the week. Tom, thank you for being in here today and last week as well. Always love hosting these shows with you. Tell everyone where they can find your work over at Unabated.
Oh, you can find me, like I said, unabated.com. You can check me out on Twitter at TV at Work. Same thing on TikTok as well. And check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/unabated. And we're doing shows, putting out content all the time for you. And hey, we've got some fantastic tools to help you make better bets and get yourself an edge. So head on over to unabated.com, get yourself a one-on-one demo today. It'll be me sitting down on a Zoom call with you and telling you exactly how to use all the tools that we have to help you make you a better.
That's good. That's good that you get to talk to Tom. You also will get to see his wonderful hair on that Zoom as well.
I gotta say, seeing it on camera at the different angles, I'm all of a sudden like, oh wow, it's long. The 80s, man.
It's long. That's for sure. We're back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Dwayne Colucci on the desk with me. We'll see you then. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.